fake. Well, who did he see when he heard I was there? Now it seems that shit.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, November the 14th, 2023. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai. And tonight, we also have Mr. Shark 8, Matt Potenski. How are you, sir?
How you doing, guys?
Sitting in for this particular podcast. How is everybody on this fine evening?
Can't complain.
Who would listen?
I could, but yeah, who's going to listen? So I'm not going to complain.
I know I wouldn't complain. So,
well, I've been off the past couple of days, so I really can't complain.
You have. You took off. You did a little fishing over the weekend.
I did.
At our buddy Jim's house.
Yeah, well, we didn't fish at the house. We took a boat out. So
that's true. All right. Well, the fishing at the house, you catch a lot fewer fish.
No, you catch a lot of glasses of wine and grappa is what you catch when you fish at the house.
That's
no, we
true.
went out for blackfish.
What bait do you use for grappa?
Would that be a grappling hook? Would that no?
Oh, I don't have the sound effect thing up for the broom chop. No, we went out for blackfish, and I think I got 8 of them. One was a keeper, so that was nice. I think it was my last cast too. Well, no, it's not. You don't cast so much; you just drop the damn thing in.
Drop it.
Because they bottom feed, so you bounce them off the bottom. But it took me a while to get the hang of, what their hits felt like, so I can get it in. But I did keep it. That was my goal, to have at least one keeper, and success.
There you go.
Yay!
Very nice. Now you got it home in your bathtub with you.
Yeah, he's so cute.
Did you name him?
Fred.
Yeah, of course.
I name everything Fred.
I know.
My roommate in college, his car was named Fred.
There you go.
Well, because it had all these switches and buttons. He had 2 batteries in it. He had a musical horn. He had a PA system.
But you said a musical horror. I'm like, what's a musical horror?
Oh, that was in the trunk.
In the trunk, right?
For a little bit.
But
But
then it would have been better to say that.
Probably, yeah. So we named that Fred. It stood for a fucking ridiculous electronic device.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's what it
makes
called.
sense.
It checks out.
You and your acronyms.
Yeah. My company's all full of acronyms. So
you mentioned a couple of days today. What are today's this week's?
There's nothing that I'm really celebrating.
Nothing crazy, right?
No, it's National Pickle Day.
Happy National Pickle Day for those who celebrate.
Yeah, I'm not going to have a pickle before drinking beer.
Folks at Clausen or Dill or
or was it Martin House has got a pickle beer? That was the best pickle.
I have a can of it. I have a can of it downstairs.
The pickle goes.
The pickle goes. Yeah, I actually just got it from Tavor a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna actually have it on one show, but haven't had the opportunity to yet.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna pull it out.
Today would have been the way. Well, today if it wasn't,
you're gonna pull out your pickle.
I'm gonna pull out my pickle when Tony's on the show. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, YouTube's gonna knock us out.
Right.
Pan that episode if you
my
do
pickle
that.
beer. My pickle.
Oh, your pickle beer.
Yeah.
This would be the show to do that on if it wasn't for the guests.
Right. Well, we have certain beers that we're drinking tonight because of the
guests.
Right.
It's National Spicy Guacamole Day today.
Happy National Spicy Guacamole Day.
Didn't get any of that.
And those of you avocado and onion lovers out there.
That is oddly specific.
It is oddly specific. There is a
guacamole
just
any
day.
Guacamole Day.
Yeah.
Spicy guacamole day.
No one's done a guacamole beer that I know of.
I'm sure Martin House is working on it.
Yeah, and probably make it with yogurt just to make it creamy.
There you go.
Those yogurt beers. I mean, what did they start them in Texas?
I don't know. Matt and I had one up in Glens Falls earlier this year. Remember at Northway?
Yeah,
it was interesting. It wasn't. I wouldn't go out of my way to look for one, but it was interesting. So.
And the last thing we're celebrating today, and I don't know that I'm going to celebrate this one either. Laugh like a lunatic.
Laugh like a lunatic. Happy Laugh Like a Lunatic Day. There you go.
I don't know who makes these things.
Depends on where we get to in this show. We might all be celebrating this day in a little while. So we'll see how much we drink. There you go. So.
They're 12-ounce beers, and none of them are super high, so I think we'll be fine.
Exactly.
Speak for yourself.
Exactly.
Matt's
got about 4 barrel-aged stouts he's going to be drinking along with the other beers.
Okay, so you got to save some of the big stuff for the big beer show.
I'm sure he's got even bigger beers for that show. So.
Yes. But I do. Well, I had to go with a Belgian theme for my last big beer.
Okay.
I am shocked.
Yeah.
It's very shocking. Anyway, all right, guys, I'm thirsty.
So am I.
Let's say we bring the guest on and start drinking. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna open my beer while he's coming on.
You do that, folks. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Steve Ashton from Ashton Brewing. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, everybody.
How are you on this fine evening?
I like open the can over here.
I am very good. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Whoa.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we're. I need a beer, so we're gonna get to it right away. What are you imbibing in right now?
So I already poured it, but I have the Stone Hearth.
There you go.
Oh,
These guys helped me can it, Matt and John.
We did, yes, and it was great. And
We're releasing
that's
it
weird
next
because-
week, so this is a kind of a sneak preview, right?
I've
Little
got
sneak
one
preview of this one.
I've got one as well.
There you go. So you're drinking that, and
Yeah.
what are you drinking there, Samurai?
Same thing.
And so am I. Look at that. So since Matt is not drinking the Stone Heart, Matt, what are you drinking?
So
What are you drinking, Matt?
I'm going to have an Out of the Shadows, which is a triple decocted Czech lager from.
Yes.
Oh, I had that in the last show. That is a wonderful beer.
Yes, you did have that on the last show. And Matt and I and Steve had that on canning day.
Okay.
So see, there's still a connection.
There's still a
It's
connection.
just,
Enough
this
to
beer's
say.
just getting everywhere.
Beer is.
Hmm.
Take the obligatory.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that, but
Untapped.
I don't have the lighting to get the can too far. It's okay. We'll just do
It's
that.
not you.
Yes.
Prost,
Chinda.
which is probably more appropriate for this style.
There you go.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
So this one, I don't know if you noticed, John, when you taste it,
Mhm.
the chocolate's coming through a lot more than
It is.
than on canning day.
Than it was on canning day. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just tasted that.
The orange is still very subdued, but just enough to not allow Matt to drink it.
Just enough to not allow Matt to drink it. Yeah. Yeah, there's much more chocolate coming through on this. It's really nice. It's really
So
tasty.
apparently, I've had it before and checked it in. So
yeah, and survived it.
and I did like it, and I didn't die. I'm still here.
You
So
said
it's
some
true.
you said some nice things about it too. You said
Yes,
it
you
had, that's why I said Prost, because you said it had a German character to it.
did. When did you check it in? That was the last batch, I guess.
That had to be. Yeah. Did you make it last year, Steve?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it had to be last year then that I had it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you didn't check it in last week. All
It's
right.
technically because it's a Bach, technically, right?
Yeah, technically it would fall into the Bach category.
So I think in the untapped check-in it says Stone Hearth Bach, but it's Stone Hearth.
Yeah, but it's called a winter warmer.
But it's winter, yeah, winter
Winter lager, I think
winter lager, yeah.
we've been calling it.
No,
Yeah, it's
Untapped,
funny.
Untapped calls it winter warmer.
Yeah, untapped it's whatever people put it in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
I don't put things in, so
I got you. Well, it's delicious one way or the other. So
It's good
cheers.
stuff.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
thank you.
Maybe I'll have to make the check-in for a certain other beer that may or may not be happening.
Yes, you'll have to do that, and somehow we'll put that up there and get that. Yeah, because I noticed it wasn't on tap before when I
Do it now. Do it now.
Well, the only ones that need the check-in right now are us, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, but
released
we
on
can-
Thursday, but we'll talk about that.
But we can have a tutorial on how to add a beer
There you go.
the right way and
That's
the
very
wrong way to Untapped.
That's very true.
There's so many wrong ways to do it,
There's a lot of wrong ways to do it too.
especially if you're really bad at spelling or dyslexic.
Exactly.
I won't be
all right,
doing it.
there you go. Well, it has nothing to do with spelling or dyslexia for Matt. It's just his fingers.
The big sausages that he calls fingers. These kielbasa's at the end of his hand.
Yeah, I try to type on my little phone and it just doesn't work out.
Doesn't work out all that well. We need to get Matt a phone about this big, and
Yeah, you
and
just use
That'll
the,
work.
the voice input.
we should just use an iPad to talk on.
Yeah, it's not like the screen will be any
That's
bigger for him
super
that he can
convenient,
view.
you know?
It'll just
Exactly.
it'll be all keyboard.
Pretty much.
That's
So-
what I need is I need a plug-in keyboard for my phone.
Right.
There you go.
I just
Or-
take it everywhere
or-
with it.
Or Bluetooth.
Convenience, just whenever you get a text, let me pull out my keyboard. Hold on. Anyway, all right, Steve. Let's ask you the first question we always ask everybody that comes on the show. To the best of your recollection,
Why would you do this to yourself?
why would you
Oh,
do this to yourself? No, to the best of your recollection, what was the first craft beer you ever had?
The first craft beer probably it would have been either Sam Adams or like a Pete's Wicked Ale, something like that,
There you go.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
back in the '89 or '90.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, long time ago.
Sam
But I
or
remember the first good beer I had, and that was at a bar in New York City. And I may or may not have been of age, but they sold a sort of combo drink, and it was 2 bottles of beer they called it a Jimmy's Rainbow.
Mhm.
It was a bottle of EKU 28 and a bottle of Pinkus Muller wheat beer, and you poured them together into a big glass, and it was delicious.
Nice.
And it was the first time I was like, "Wow, I really like beer." But yeah, once I got into homebrew and craft beer started getting more popular, that
Sure.
really took over.
There you go. Do you remember what the first brewery you visited was?
First brewery I visited probably would have been Boulder beer, probably.
Okay.
Because I was in college in Colorado in Boulder, and that would have to have been the first one I visited.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Have we ever asked that question of Matt?
Yeah, we never asked that. I don't know.
I don't think we have.
I'm not
Matt
even
gonna take some
sure.
of
I'm
my
not
time?
even sure I know.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know the answer to that.
Yeah.
That's okay. John knows his.
I know mine. You know mine.
Yeah, I know his. I think his was Molson in Montreal.
Molson, yeah, Montreal. Yeah.
As far as I know, I think my first was Weyerbacher. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're a newbie.
Weyerbacher has been around longer than you think.
It hasn't been around a while, but
yeah, 90s. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right.
That may have been the first.
It might have been. Right. Steve, when did you? How'd you get into brewing? Obviously, I'm sure that could be answered by you just saying you went to college in Colorado, right? So
pretty much it. It kind of sums it up, right? I was in Boulder when homebrewing was really kind of in its infancy,
right?
And I had a lot of friends that worked at liquor stores, at what would have been craft beer bars at that time, right? There was an old Chicago's, and they homebrewed, and so got to meet people like Charlie Papazian. I applied for a job at the brew. Well, it was the AHA, the American Homebrewers Association.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, it wasn't the Brewers Association. Didn't get it, but but certainly, and then joined a homebrew club in Boulder, and kind of just took off from there. I started homebrewing my senior year in college, and really enjoyed it. And it was a lot like cooking to me. I like cooking as well.
Well, it is, yeah, really.
And,
right. What was the first beer you brewed on the first time you homebrewed?
Some shit beer.
It was the best barrel-aged Belgian quad anybody's ever made.
Yeah.
I think you guys might appreciate this a little bit more than most people today that get into homebrewing. The quality of the ingredients that were available to us were absolute garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically bought a can of malt extract, and it had a little thing of yeast on the top. It's kind of like the Parmesan packets.
Yes.
And you just boiled it with water, put it in the carboy, added the yeast, and hoped for the best. But it was just a light blonde ale, I think, as far as I remember. I actually still have the very first bottle that I capped out of that batch.
Really?
It's probably about a third down. It's below the neck as it's evaporated, because it's been we're going on 34 years now.
Oh wow!
First did that,
and that bottle survived 34 years.
It has.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So what? My question is here now: when are you going to drink it?
I'll never drink it. Don't have a death wish.
I know.
But that's one of the things that was amazing is you started doing this. You didn't have access to great stuff, so yeast in particular was really not widely available. So I had to start learning how to culture yeast for bottles,
mm-hmm.
and that's really kind of getting into that level sort of pushed me further and further. So I started realizing, I'm doing all this stuff. I should study for the beer judge exam, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And just, everything kind of just snowballed from there. Because we had to kind of figure it out. I mean, trying to read about malting grains, at least those types of things.
Sure.
Tried growing hops, never did well with that, but stuff like that. But I actually got lucky. A friend of mine after college got a job at Coors.
Mm-hmm.
He would bring me these big gallon bags, Ziplocs of hops from there.
Nice.
I'm like, they're green.
That's a good friend.
And it was amazing, and they actually were very high quality hops.
Do you remember what they were?
I didn't know what they were.
It's interesting because back in that day, friends would normally score you bags of weed.
You're right.
Right.
Well,
you're
6 to 1.
Same family, but
family.
That's a brewer in Colorado that give me hops.
But I'll tell you, when I made beer with those hops, I was blown away. I was like, this is so much better than the garbage that I've been making. And
whole leaf hops at the time, right?
Almost everything was whole leaf back then. Even with, they had I don't remember what they were called, maybe T45, something like that. But they were like compacted whole leaf hops.
Yeah.
So they were not a pellet; they were more like a little pancake kind of thing.
Right. Yes.
And then you'd throw them in the boil, and they would expand, and
Sure.
So
and work their magic.
Everyone else is cutting their chops in something that looks like rabbit food.
That's right.
Yeah, you're using whole leaf hops compressed. That's a good way to start off.
Gotta love it. So you've been brewing for 34 years. When did you so right when you were working on the yeast and all of that, you got involved with the BJCP?
Yeah. Early 90s. And again, just being where I was, that there were some great judges there that started working with. I got to join a beer judge group that was pretty well, high ranking judges at the time.
Right.
And we would meet and sample beers and critique and so I got exposed to a lot, and it taught me a lot because these guys have been doing it for at that time probably for 10 years or so, and they were a little bit older than me. And,
gotcha.
That was great. It was just I took the beer judging exam, let's see, in 93 at Wingcoop Brewing Company in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dave, what's your favorite beer at Wingcoop?
I haven't had one at Wingcoop yet.
You haven't been to Wingcoop?
I haven't been to Denver yet.
Oh, okay. That's a great spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list to get to, but I've got a few places to get to first.
He always busts my chops about a certain beer I drank at Wingcoop.
I don't bust your chops about it. I give you props for it.
I almost said bust my balls, but that would have given it away.
Yeah.
So.
bust your moose balls.
Right. The Rocky Mountain Oyster Stout. Yeah. Right. So I tell everybody, try it. It's actually really good.
Hey,
you just can't think about what you're drinking, or you're not going to drink it. That's the only
My
thing.
brother was at Wingcoop this year, and I said, if you don't try if it's Rocky Mountain Oyster Stout is on the list, and you don't try it, you cannot come back home a man. So I shamed him into trying. He goes, it's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah.
He goes, if you keep your mind off of what
you can't think about what you're drinking.
What was floating in this
beer. It's not floating in it.
I said, I don't think they
don't chop it up and put them in the boil.
Yes. So, but they made contact with the beer at some point.
As long as they don't dry teabag it.
That's right.
You mean putting it into cheesecloth and putting it in? That's what he meant, right?
Yes, that's what he meant. Right.
That's what he meant.
Right. Never mind. I thought you were going to say Bull Puns. That's a completely different show. They're not on the show.
Oh, that's a different brewery entirely.
Exactly. Anyway,
please make them stop. Make them stop.
Exactly. So anyway, so you took the exam at Wingcoop.
Yeah, and then it was just racking up points to move up in the organization.
That's
In
awesome.
the rankings.
There you go. Yeah, you gotta love it. And you also did, other than home brewing and beer judging, while you're out in Colorado, you're also writing too, weren't you?
I did. I wrote. That's not all I did though. I wrote for Rocky Mountain Brews. I wasn't a great writer, but I wrote a few articles.
Yeah.
One of the articles I did was I was on a business trip out to New Jersey, and New Jersey had this was before we really had the tap room setups like we have now.
Mhm.
We had breweries and we had brew pubs. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And they had recently allowed those, so that was probably around 96, I think, when I did that. And I went around to everything that was there here, and at least I think everything that I thought of, that I found, and wrote an article.
Like all 5 of them.
No, there was more than that.
More than that. There's more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was I think it was 8 or 9, but
We talked about it last week. Yeah, it was the old ship. Whatchamacallit?
Shipping in Long Valley Brew Pub.
Long Valley Brew Pub, right?
I think Biddings was open.
Yep.
I think the Ton Tavern was the one that I hadn't gotten to.
Ton Tavern, right? I was down there
I only got to it for the first time this year.
this year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you went, and then of course you went to up by Greg. Ramstein was open.
Ramstein, Climax. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, River Horse wasn't open
Flying
yet.
Fish,
No, the
or any
other
of
ones.
those
River Horse wasn't open yet.
Flying Fish was open.
Flying
Did you
Fish?
get there?
And I don't think Flying Fish had opened at that point yet. When at least in that point in the year.
Okay.
But yeah, and then the other thing I did out there, I actually had a TV show.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
As far as I can tell, we were the
sitcom or
Yeah, mostly. As far as I know, we were probably the first TV show on craft beer and brewing. I'm not, but it was cable access, so it wasn't like it was, nationally.
Hey, Wayne's World was cable access too, right?
But-
Look at that.
Yeah.
But it was called Beer Country, and it was an hour long, and we had 3 segments. We did an intro home brewing, advanced home brewing, and then usually a tour. And we toured every single brewery that existed in Colorado at the time, which I think would be impossible right now. But,
Yeah, because it's almost like the population of China, right? If you start at one, by the time you finish, there's another 100 that are open, so you have to go back around again. It just never stops.
Back then, there weren't that many. We were traveling a good distance to be able to do these, and but it was fun. We had a great time doing it. So
That's awesome. That sounds great. Actually, you got to dig up some old. Do you have any videos of it or anything?
yeah. The last
You got to edit a few of them and put them up on. Use it on the Ashton website. You got to do that.
There you go.
someone's going to have to do it for me because I'm not adept at that. But I do have it all electronic, so I was able to get it to onto a hard drive.
Oh, that's cool.
It was all VHS.
It makes it a lot easier than trying to dump stuff off of VHS onto a computer right now.
Yeah.
You can, but it's just time consuming. Cool. All right. So what made you decide, okay, you came back to Jersey, right?
Yeah.
What made you decide to open Ashton?
So, obviously I love beer. And I guess basically I had always, we'd always talked about, do we want to open a brewery or anything because I was doing so much with it. And I never wanted to have brewing be something I needed to rely on because, if it doesn't go well, you resent it or something like that, right? Because I just want to enjoy beer.
Sure.
So I had the opportunity to retire early and not have to rely, on it 100%. Now, certainly a little bit more complicated than that, but yeah. So basically, I just said, with the laws the way they were, it's possible now to actually open brewery. and be successful, right? The tap room component changes the dynamic when you open up, like you said, like Ramstein Climax. When they opened, there was no tap room.
Sure.
Opening as a distribution brewery only is very, very challenging. And big kudos to those guys to still be in business for for that long, right, and be successful, because it's very, very hard from a cash flow standpoint to be a small brewery and sell in distribution. And so that was one of the big things for me, is this, I wanted to be able to enjoy it. I wanted to be able to go to work and have fun with it, still treat it like a business, but be able to sit down with guys like you and have beers and
Exactly.
not have to be dead serious all the time.
This is very true. All right. So when you decided to open, about how long from the moment you decided to open the brewery, about how long did it take you to actually open the doors?
Close to 3 years. The biggest hold up for us was location. We first had a spot in Roxbury that we spent a lot of time and money on, and ultimately things didn't work out with the landlord. So the town was great. The town council was very supportive of us being there, and I think we had a really nice location, but it didn't pan out, and so then we just set out to look for another location, and really probably was about 2 months after that the Roxbury thing kind of fell apart. We found the location in Middlesex, where another brewery had been, and was still with my kind of thing was to stay within a half hour of home, and that one was right on the edge of that.
Right.
So, we met with the landlord, and things happened very fast at that point. Really was about 6 months after we signed the lease that we were open. There
you go. All right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first beer you brewed out of? Of course you remember it. The first beer you brewed out of Ashton. Like, what was the first production beer you made?
So the first one we did was Red Baron, which is an alt beer. And it's my oldest homebrew recipe. When I started homebrewing, I had a dog named Baron. So like everybody else, I named my first beer after my dog.
Of course.
but yeah, for a fully all grain recipe that I had developed on my own was Red Baron.
That's awesome.
Certainly changed over the years a little bit, but it was it's a delicious beer.
Yeah. Well,
that's an interesting question, because you started homebrewing, like you said, when the ingredients were so completely different. Like, I would think that a lot of your recipes have gone through a lot of changes over the years, because now there are very good ingredients, and there's highly modified malts, and there's hop shots and all these other crazy things. So it's interesting to, like, how many times, like, what recipe of yours has changed the most, in a sense, or like just based on, like, because ingredients got better. That'd be a cool,
Yeah.
What do you perceive was like one of the biggest differences in like some styles because of the better ingredients?
Yeah. It probably good 8 or 9 different recipes that I've continued to make and continued to play with over the years, and most of those did become commercial beers. But yeah, those all would have gone through many iterations, and certain hops became unavailable, right? So some hops kind of faded away, and then new hops came in, and so you're always trying new hops and different things, especially in the IPAs. Even before you had the New England thing, your IPAs were you're just always playing around with the hops with those beers.
Sure.
So we make a beer called Hop Garden, and we actually just did our wet hopped version of that beer, and that is just my base sort of generic IPA recipe.
I'm sure we had that on the brew day, actually.
Yeah, I think you did.
I enjoyed it.
And
it was very good.
Yeah, it's just a nice, simple IPA recipe, and so I can use it to make West Coast IPAs. I can use it to make the hazy IPAs, and so I just use that sort of generic base, and I use different hops in it all the time. I've been doing that for probably 15 years with that recipe.
Very nice. Yes. Yeah, going back to the Red Baron, you said, yeah, that's definitely you know, I don't know, Dave, do I like that style? An alt beer? I'm not sure. Matt,
A
an alt
stick
beer?
of alt. No,
It's any alt beer, but stick alt,
No.
definitely.
Yeah.
But anyway, so all right. Where was I? Oh yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How big a system are you brewing into? And you know, the brew house and the
We have a 10 barrel system.
10-barrel system, right?
It's a Deutsche system. They're out of North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I'd say semi-automated.
Mm-hmm.
It's got rakes and all that stuff, and it's a nice easy system to work with, and you know, got a nice computer screen. It's fun.
That's true. There you
It's
go.
certainly a lot easier to work. It's one of the funny things people always talk about, going from home brewing to commercial brewing and stuff like that. My home brew system is literally the same system that I've brewed on since I think I got that in 1994, and it's just a converted kegs system.
Sure.
Made a few modifications in the connections and things like that over the years, but I didn't change a whole lot in it over the time that I had it, and well, I still have it. And so moving to the bigger system is actually a lot easier in a lot of ways. Other than grain out, it's physically it's a simpler system to work on.
Fair enough. All right. Well, before we get into talking about beers, well, let's start talking about your beer. But let's start with the collab. Why not? Mainly because I just finished my beer, and I'm
open it?
pretty sure that Dave finished his by now, and I know Matt's chomping at the bit. So let's pour the collab. So
You're making me talk.
let's hold it up. There you go.
There it is.
Hold on. Wait, get them all up there at the same time. Hold on.
Are you going to do that and do your obligatory shot?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know if I can.
No, just hold it up there. I can take it.
I'm trying.
There we go.
Nailed it.
There you go.
And I still love the label, by the way. The label's
Yeah, the label's beautiful. I
Label's
love the.
awesome.
Love the. It's supposed to be stained glass, right?
Yeah.
Because it's an Abbey style double, and the churches have stained glass.
There you go.
And you got Eve Ashton's logos here, but they snuck another logo into the side.
Well, there's the logo's also
is
next to Ashton's logo too.
Oh, down here out here
On the other side. There
Yeah.
you go. And there you have it.
And I got to go proper with a goblet. So
There you go.
I have goblets
I have goblets, but I went with another one. I'll show you in a second.
in a box in storage.
In a box in storage. Yeah, exactly. So I was solidarity with Dave. Doesn't have his goblet, so I didn't pour it into
This
one.
is wow. This is weird because it smells Belgian.
Oh, Belgian.
that's
So,
right.
Steve, why don't you tell us what the name of the beer is and what style it is?
It's called The World Is Your Cloister, and it is a double. So in the can, we say Abbey style. You could say Belgian style.
Abbey style double ale with raisins and currants.
Raisins and currants. Yeah.
There's what I poured it in right there.
Nice.
Hey, look what I poured it in.
Hey, look at that. So, I actually have my St. Bernardus goblet right over there, but
yeah, I have to go with my goblet.
there you go.
This is a goblet-worthy beer.
Yeah. So
That
as
is
long as
pretty-
I've known Matt,
Mhm.
he's a big fan of Belgians.
Matt, a big fan of Belgians.
Yeah.
I've
And
never-
I'm a big fan of Belgians. And I think we were talking about the fact that a lot of people don't really know Belgians, and they tend to shy away from them. I mean, we've made a bunch of them at the brewery. We last summer we did. We had single, a double, a triple, and a quad all on at the same time,
Mhm.
and it was a lot of fun. I think part of having a brewery and having a tap room is exposing people to things, and so a lot of people hadn't had those styles and they didn't know anything about them, and a lot of people found that they liked them. or they had, at some point in the past they had a Belgian beer at a craft brewery that maybe didn't do it so well,
Right.
and they don't, so they would shy away from them. But giving them the opportunity to try things like that and see what they really should taste like is great, and that's part of what I love about having a brewery. And but Matt and I were talking about Belgians, and so we were like, all right, well, we should do a Belgian, and we picked the double because it is, a little bit more drinkable. I think we probably tossed around, doing a single, but moving the alcohol up a little notch at this time of year, I think was the right thing to do.
Sure.
And so I think actually Matt and Max were actually talking about the raisins, and so that was where I saw these currants and thought that the currants would actually add a little more depth. I'm not sure the currant flavor is particularly noticeable in here, but I think
I feel like I'm definitely getting more raisin today.
I'm getting more raisins than we did last week. Yeah.
It's definitely is.
I'm definitely getting more
dark
raisins.
fruits, certainly there,
but it still just has that just ridiculous drinkability. I love.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like I said, well, we had that giant 4-liter pitcher.
Hold on. We got a picture of it. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
It is it's Matt and Zoe. Here you go, holding the picture. There you go.
So this,
and then it was more full than that.
Yeah. Well, this was. I mean,
So
it was
something
well
at the
over a
top.
gallon.
Lily was chugging it.
Yeah, it's well over a gallon of beer, and that's
We finished
basically what we ran out of the machine at the end, right? The canning machine. And I was sitting there, I'm like, it's gonna be a shame to dump that down. And then we were sitting there eating pizza, and I went to pour myself another double, and I'm like, the pitcher is empty.
Yeah, we finished.
And I was like, oh crap,
we drank it.
The whole thing.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, I mean, after canning, there's long lines, then they're full of beer, and in order to try not to let it go down the drain, we'll run it into the pitcher. We push it with CO2, and so that beer was definitely worth saving.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm glad we all drink it all.
Unfortunately, Max wasn't there for canning.
Right.
So cheers to Max, but he was there for obviously the brew day. So, and here's a photo from the 4 of us at brew day. So there you go.
And hopefully he feels a little better soon.
Yeah.
A little laid up, but
absolutely. Steve, Zoe had sent me 2 pictures, the same picture, but the second one, Max had rabbit ears over your head. So I opted to go with this one. So
go figure.
There you go.
Right.
But
I've heard he does that a lot.
There you go. Right. That was a fun day. And then, of course, the obligatory placing of the label on the cold box.
Yeah.
There we go. So.
Nice.
So there you go. But it was fun.
I like the hand on your hip there, Matt.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. Well, he's
Very
posing.
saucy,
It's
saucy.
Vogue. Yeah, it's fat cakes. Exactly. Matt's hand,
very millennial
keep the
female.
stomach sucked in.
Matt's
needed a little help with the hand.
Yeah, Matt's hand on his hip and my mouth open. That's shocking that both of those things are occurring in that picture.
The problem is if you look at that picture too quickly, it looks like we're both flipping off something.
Does it really?
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
look a little bit like we're like, fuck whatever that is on the fridge. But
no, those are our
probably
index
going
fingers, not our middle fingers. There you go. So, fair enough. All right. So now you're Steve, you're releasing this beer on Thursday, correct? At the brewery?
Yeah. So
And it went out in distro as well, right?
Yes.
Some
Yes.
of it,
It's
yeah.
out in distro as well. We were self-distributed, so Zoe's been selling it. We
Sure.
got a few orders out there.
Very nice. Very
I'll
nice.
have to deliver them later this week.
There you go.
yeah, the one thing about Belgian beer that I think the general populace doesn't get, and it's really a shame, is the fact that they want to make a gastronomic beer. They want to make a beer that goes well with food.
Mhm.
And like it's so it's like one of those things where it's like this is a great Belgian beers are great because you can pair them with and have them with food, and it's like that's and some of them are also pretty high ABV. So if you really want to get trash, you can also do that in
Exactly.
in a somewhat classy way. But But I mean, they have so much flavor, but they still, because of the candy sugar things, they're not heavy beers. They're still light and very drinkable beers, very approachable beers. So, and this one is right in the wheelhouse.
And I definitely recommend having this with some cheese.
Oh yeah.
It
I can see this
changes
going with cheese.
the way you taste, the things that are in the beer and the cheese as well, because they complement each other. And but man, it makes I just had that bite of this is a Chetty Topper, and
Chetty Topper.
yeah, it's not too strong, but man, it just all of a sudden it makes all those dark fruit flavors really pop, and it's really nice to have that way.
Gotta love that.
How would it go with a pickle? Don't answer that.
I'm not. Yeah, no.
You never know, and that probably depends on how the pickle's been pickled, but the different flavors that can go with it. But
yeah, maybe a bread and butter.
Could be. Yeah, it could work. There's not really a lot of sweetness in this beer, but there's a lot of things that work well with sweet.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to say about this beer is I really appreciate how dry this beer finishes. That's lovely. A lot of times you get so much lingering or a little bit of sweetness, prevailing sweetness at the end of it, but this one finishes so dry, so nice, so clean.
Dry and nice. Dryce.
Dry and clean. Dry scene. It finishes dry scene.
Dry scene. There you go. Write that word down.
That heard it here first.
That and nose feel, and we're good to go.
And nose. Well, we have a few others. It does have a lovely nose feel.
There you go. I love that.
It's got a very Belgian nose feel.
It's got a Belgish nose feel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Belgish.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, all right, Steve, tell us about some other beers that you're doing at Ashton. Your flagships, your seasonals, so forth, so on.
So we have 5 year-round beers, which is, how we got there is actually kind of an interesting thing too. Because when we started out, I had 4 that I thought would be our year-round beers, and only one of them has stayed in that. But basically, people kind of you get a sense from what your customers want, and so we have our really what's become our flagship is Your Lips Are Juicy. It's a New England IPA. It's a double IPA. It's 7.7%, and it's we do a lot of variants of that and plays on the lips theme, which we have a lot of fun with.
There you go.
Hot Lips and Your Lips Are Bloody, the blood orange version, and then we came out with Little Lips this summer as a session IPA, and then Jersey Dreamin' is a Czech Pilsner, and that's our next biggest seller, and it's just crisp, has a lot of broad appeal. I think the Czech style has more appeal to people than the German style, because the German style tends to have the bitterness comes through a little bit more. Then we have Take 5, which is the one that actually was in our original list of beers. It's a Citra forward pale ale, and actually this is another one that actually evolved while we were since we've been open. It was all Citra when we started, and really added a couple more hops in the dry hop, and kind of transformed it, and it's been doing really well. Then we have our Scarlet Red Ale. There's 2 beers that we heard people just clamoring for from the brewery that was there before.
Right.
Right out of the gate, and Scarlet Night was a beer that they were making, and I had it, thankfully, so I knew the flavor profile of that beer.
Named after the closest college football team.
Right, and we're 6 miles from the stadium, so we're the closest brewery to the stadium, and so I developed a recipe based off of the Red Baron beer, which was one that the alt beer style isn't something people know, and so just having a red ale. It is made as an alt beer. But basically, I just kind of took the flavor profile, scaled down the alcohol a little bit, made it a little crisper by making it an alt beer.
Mhm.
And that beer has been doing really well, and actually it does really well in seafood restaurants places in the area regularly.
Oh wow.
And great. And then Velvet Elvis is our year-round stout.
Velvet Elvis.
Love the name. Love that name.
It's an American stout, so it's not over the top on hops though. But it is, certainly leans into the hops, but it has a nice balance. It's a nice smooth beer.
If you ever wanted to like shorten the name, like Dave shortened Dry and Nice to Trice, you could call it Velvis. Yeah. Right.
That sounds anatomical. It sounds anatomical, John.
Yeah.
That's true.
Sounds like a Latin
on from
curse
that.
word. So
Yeah, right.
We and then we do other IPAs. We always have a rotational IPA going, at least one. And we also do a lot of other lagers as well.
Right.
We do German Pilsners throughout the year. We do, like this, the Stone Hearth, is a lager. And I'm a little bit of a, traditionalist when it comes to the lagers and giving them, the good 6-week lagering time. And
Sure.
and it pays off, I think. We end up with really nice, crisp beers. And
I've had a bunch of your lagers, and they're all delicious. And the Stone Hearth is fantastic. So
Thank you.
no smoke. It's really good.
No, I didn't detect any smoke in the beer at all.
No.
Despite the name, I was expecting smoke.
it always tickled me though, is that so I know when I go to Ashton, I know I'm going to get very good and very two style beers. But then I went into Ashton and I poured a beer in a glass and it looked like Windex. And I wanted the Saison with the what is it, the pea flower?
Oh, the Stella Blue.
Stella Blue, yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about that one? It's a brilliant beer. I love it. But
So another thing my Saison is I've been making for a long time. And the reason I got that recipe kind of where it was it's just a nice, simple Saison that I could actually do a lot of other things with.
Mm-hmm.
And so the butter, I judged a beer in a homebrew competition years ago, and it had the butterfly pea flower. So I always wanted to do something with it, and I never did at home. But at the brewery, we make that Saison, and so we do, like I said, we do other things with it. So I happened to find some butterfly pea flower, and so we made the Stella Blue with that, and it's just basically you're steeping it, and it to me it has like a green tea kind of a flavor. It's not a ton of flavor from it,
no.
but it's that blue color that's almost violet that's sort of shocking. Yeah. And it's actually really easy to do because you're just you put a bag in the bright and you move the beer in and give it a couple of days. The acidity of the beer is important. So that Saison is a little bit on the acidic side. It's not like a sour beer, but it's just right for bringing out that color. If you use butterfly pea flower and you have a beer that's not as acidic, and it's like a higher 4 pH, it's going to look very different. Mm-hmm. Likewise, if you use it in a very sour beer, it'll be deep purple. So so it's a matter of getting those aspects right. But that was really all it was, and we did it. That was the first summer we were open when we started doing that. My sister had, you were talking about Fred, your roommate's car.
Yeah.
My sister's car was always Stella Blue through college. She lived in Netherlands when I was in college in Boulder, and so I remember that car. But I also like the Grateful Dead. So
there you go.
There you go.
That's very good. I blame Netherlands for the one time that I got altitude sickness. So
is that right?
Yeah,
it's not even that high.
I know. Well, I know, but we were in Denver, right? And then we went up and we spent an hour at Netherland and came back down to Boulder, which isn't so much further down, but still, lower than Netherland.
Yeah,
And
Ned's probably around 7,000 feet. And,
it was like eight and change at the Netherland was.
Is it that high?
I think it's eight something. Yeah.
Okay.
So came back down to Boulder and it wasn't bad. It was like a half an hour. I was out of it. We're walking to, the one downtown area with the walking street in Boulder. I sat down at Pearl Street. Yeah. I sat down on a bench and they're like, we're going for coffee. I'm like, I'll meet you there. I just sat on a bench for about a half an hour, just stared down at the ground, breathing with a bottle of water. And then I was fine. Half an hour. That was it. But it's because of the Denver up to Netherland, back down to Boulder in an hour, and that did it. But anyway, that's that. But Netherland's great though.
Yeah, it is.
There was a coffee shop up when we got up to the top at Netherland too. It's like an old rail car coffee shop. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but yeah, that was that. They had really good coffee too. But anyway,
So
we used to have a couple of breweries too. I don't know if they're still there or not, but I know the one I used to go to was Wolf Tongue, and that's been gone for a long time.
yeah.
But
So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was that for a lot of people who aren't familiar with Ashton, you want to talk about when you got your licensing and how that kind of worked out and how that progressed. So, because I mean, you were making beer, but like how long was it when you started making beer till you first had guests that could actually brew?
Yeah. Let's see. So we had our equipment set up ready to go the end of January of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was just a matter of, the ABC finalizing things, right? And they finally finalized everything on March 11th. So
Just in time.
So we got our temporary permit March 11th. We started brewing, and we literally we were brewing. We brewed two beers each day. So we had all our fermenters full on the 13th when the shutdown was announced. So the shutdown took effect, I think, on the 16th or something like that.
17th. It was on the 17th. Yeah.
17th. Okay.
17th. Yeah.
So but at that point we're like, it's a shutdown. We've got a couple of weeks for these beers anyway, right? So we just, we kept brewing.
Yeah, 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That's all it was. It was
right. Everybody said that.
Yeah,
2 weeks, right?
Well,
so
but also nobody listens. So.
We're fine. We don't have to worry about this because we've got time. And then it became this is going to be a bigger deal. And so when we opened, it was just all right. Here we are.
I'm coming in by
order a crowler or a growler because we couldn't give any samples of anything. We couldn't pour beer. Pour glasses of beer. And so everything we set up online, so people could order online. They could call in and order. And we just had a table set up at the garage. People would pull up. We'd put their beer in their trunk. And so we did that for however long that lasted. I don't even remember. But as Matt pointed out, it was we went through the 25% we could have inside. Well, first it was the outside, right? So they gave us the ability to have an outdoor area, which was nice. At least
I was there the first weekend. I think you were actually open for people
inside.
No, outside.
For outside, okay.
Yeah,
but we had to do table service, so that wasn't something we hadn't planned on.
Sure.
So you had a lot of things to figure out there, and but it wasn't until September of 2021 that we were actually able to have people sitting at the bar, and we were at full capacity in the indoors.
Year and a half.
Yeah, it was a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very unusual start, and pretty much anything that we thought was going to be happening wasn't happening. So, but luckily we had ordered a canning line, which came in April of 2020, and we started putting cans out by May. So that helped a lot, being able to put things out in 6-packs, and then started distributing probably late in the summer that year.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty slow at the beginning because we certainly didn't have any accounts,
Sure.
and the restaurants were slow, right? Because they were also at a lower capacity.
Yep.
But we made inroads, and it's been taken off.
Yeah. Talk about this for a second too. Anybody that's drinks a lot of craft beer, goes to breweries, goes to beer, bottle shops, package stores. The rule of thumb, the norm, if you will, are 16-ounce 4-packs.
Yep.
You opt for 12-ounce 6-packs.
Yeah.
Which I mean, you think about it. It's what's that?
I said I'm a fan.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, you're gonna get.
I don't need to sit there and drink 16 ounces.
I don't need 16 ounces. 12 ounces is good. 12 ounces is good. And I'm paying a little less. I'm getting a little more in 6 beers instead of 4. It's 12 ounces 72. So you're actually technically getting 8 ounces more than the 16-ounce 4-pack.
That's right.
In a 6-pack. So, what was your theory behind that? Doing it in the 12-ounce cans instead of 16-ounce cans?
It really was just because that's what I prefer. And I
personal
felt like that's the main thing. I think it also was I wanted to stand out a little bit different than a lot of other breweries. I think when I go out and I'm buying these the 16-ounce cans, I'm able to buy a little bit more variety. That's one thing about it, I guess, because you don't have as many beers.
Right.
But I wanted to have beers that people are going to buy more often, and I'm trying to get past the I want to have a different beer every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing right now, and
Sure.
and I'm cautiously trying to do that, right? So because it is certainly something that people want. You want to be able to make different beers, but like with having our flagships, not all the craft breweries are producing flagships. They're producing different beers all the time, because a lot of people aren't going to buy the same beer over and over again.
No, this is definitely an industry of what have you done for me lately?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to kind of drive it in a different direction. So that's kind of where my head is with it. I want to have flagships. I want to have beers that people are going to know that are going to be there every time.
Yeah.
When they're they want something, they're going to be able to get it. And I think it's been working pretty well. We have particularly at restaurants, we have a good number of restaurants that they'll carry a beer and they want that beer all the time. Now I have to be able to deliver that too.
Sure.
And that's a challenge at our size as well. Your lips are juicy. We've run out twice now, I think, in 3 years, where I had a 2-week time frame where I didn't have it. And otherwise I've been able to keep up with it. And I'm basically having to brew it pretty much every 2 weeks in order to be able to do that.
Right.
Not a bad problem.
No, yeah.
Not a bad problem.
Good problem.
But you piss people off when they're restaurants, when they want to have that regular beer there, because
they want it all the time, and a lot of their mindset is, I can get this beer all the time. I can get this beer all the time. Why can't I get this beer all the time? So you don't want to cross that bridge with them. You want to make sure that they have that beer all the time. So
that's right. Yeah.
Exclusivity, is it not exclusivity?
Exactly. So, what beers do you have? Anything other than Stone Hearth? Obviously, this is your winter lager. Anything else interesting coming out between now and the end of the year?
Yeah. So we've been doing a cranberry wheat beer for the last.
Besides Stone Hearth and this one, of course.
Yeah. Exactly.
Shameless plug.
Hey, there are sponsors. Stop.
They are. Yes, they are.
Yeah, I mean, you are.
One of the benefits of having our own canning line is, we can do smaller batches and be able to can them. And so the cranberry wheat beer we've been doing for Thanksgiving for the last 3 years, we finally scaled it up a little bit more this year, and we're canning some of it. So that one's coming out on Friday. And then we did so this is another thing where, we're a little off. but we have a pumpkin beer coming out. It's
Just in time for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
It's not a pumpkin spice beer.
Mhm.
It's an imperial porter.
Okay.
I
cinnamon.
like pumpkin porter. If I'm going to drink a pumpkin porter that's where I'm going to want to go.
Pumpkin
Yeah,
porter,
the-
pumpkin stout.
Pumpkin stouts, pumpkin dark beers.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it works better.
Yeah.
We're going to be canning that, and we'll have that one out next week, and then we've got our Parent Trap. Parent Trap is a peanut butter and chocolate porter that we've been doing. This is again the third year I think we've done it. So we'll have that one coming out soon. And then after that one, we're doing an imperialized version of the Parent Trap, calling it Double Trouble.
There you go.
And so that's
Parent Trap, Double Trouble. I see where you went there. There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah. Parent Trap, the movie. Are we talking the original with Maureen O'Hara or the remake with Lindsay Lohan?
It depends on who in my family you ask.
There you go.
Fair enough.
For me and my wife, it's the original, and my kids think it's the new one.
Sure. By the way, the new one is almost 30 years old. Just want
Yeah,
to
the
point
new
that
one.
out.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah, we are old.
Yeah.
Speak for yourselves.
But yeah, those are the big things. And then we'll have a couple more IPAs. We'll have we did Pure Obsidian last winter with the Pink Boots blend
Good.
hops, and so we're going to do that beer again. Obviously, it won't be the Pink Boots blend of hops, but it really was a delicious beer, and so we're doing that again.
That was the
And then we'll have another
cold black
two-
IPA, right?
Say again?
That was the cold black IPA.
Yes.
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 Like up here,
I was
So it's a cold IPA,
Huge fan of that.
Cascadian Dark cold IPA. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. No, it's
Cold Cascadian Dark Ale.
and then we'll do a Schwartz beer this winter too.
Schwartz beer.
Just
Yeah.
Sign me up.
just put a case to the side for me,
Yeah.
and I'll be done to pick it up. So,
And I'll just leech off of John.
and he'll just leech off from here. There you go. Cool. I'm gonna open my third beer. Dave, you opened a third beer, or did you do it already?
Okay, hold on. I gotta finish this one.
All right, I just finished mine.
I'm gonna get into
You get a new glass. Matt, what are you drinking for your third beer?
All right, so for my third beer, I am sticking with the Belgian, and it's a double barrel Deadline from Taxman.
Double barrel Deadline from Taxman.
Yes,
Very
so
nice.
it is rye and bourbon barrel aged Belgian stout,
Very nice.
which is interesting because I'm not a huge Belgian stout guy, so this could go one of two ways.
You know what? But a Belgian stout, if you put it in rye and bourbon barrels, kind of gives it a different
Yeah,
profile.
I'm
so-
thinking the barrel's going to cover up anything that would clash in terms of yeast and roast. But
Gotcha. Steve, what are you drinking for your third?
I am drinking the Hunt. I don't know
Or
if you guys
drinking-
like to try this.
yeah, we tried that on the brew day.
The Hunt.
That's the
Okay.
rye.
This is a cold rye IPA.
That was very good. I like that a lot.
A cry PA?
So, but it's a wet hopped cold rye IPA.
Mhm.
Oh, you're making me work for this one.
I am.
It's a wet hop cold IPA.
What cry PA?
Wet. What? It's a wet ripe EA.
Just
A ripe-
We're,
a ripe-
we're gonna let this one
A
go.
ripe wep EA.
Yeah, we did two wet hopped IPAs this year, which was probably a bit more than work wise to get done. But this was really something. I was really happy with this beer, and
I
think
liked the Hop Garden, but I really liked that one.
Yeah, I'm the same with you.
The rye gives it that extra, and that was fantastic.
But I think doing it in the cold style also helped with the
Mhm.
wet hops, because with wet hops you can get a lot of grassiness, kind of hay and straw kind of flavor.
Yeah, that was not vegetal at all.
Right, it doesn't
No.
have any of that, and I think that's because it's fermenting at a colder temperature,
Mhm.
and when you dry hop, it's it's again at a lower temperature, so it's just extracting less of those kinds of characters.
That's actually a really brilliant idea.
Yeah,
I'm definitely intrigued by that.
Well, next collaboration, right?
There you go. That works.
But,
Samurai, what did you pour?
The Sea Hunt.
The same damn thing you poured.
That would be the Boss Hog barbecue right there.
well, the Boss Hog is a collaboration we did with local barbecue place. They're called Boss Hog Barbecue. And they
the name nicely.
kind of got together and again, same kind of process and talked about what they liked and these guys loved IPAs and they had a mango habanero barbecue sauce and somehow we got to the pineapple being a part of it too, but the hops are really kind of what pushes it in that direction, and then the mango and the IPA are kind of help lift them up a little bit and bring them out a little bit more.
It's funny. Last night I made mango habanero wings, so
There you go.
it would have been interesting to have eaten those with these to see if it canceled any of that out, what flavors would have come out of it, because that probably would have been one of those cancellations rather than enhancements.
There you go.
Man, you get some nice pineapple in the nose.
Oh yeah.
I did just realize that this is 15.1% too. ABV.
I can't. I'm not shocked. I'm not
So,
shocked.
Matt, why don't you send one of those over here and we'll
Yeah,
We told you to.
I might have another one.
We told you
Well,
to save
well,
some
this
for
with
the last show of the year.
Look,
didn't we?
anything from the tax man that Tavor puts up, as soon as it pops up in his notifications, he's ordering it. So Matt loves tax.
If it's anything over 13%, also I think he orders.
I don't think tax man make anything under 13.
I got 2 or 3 port barrel aged versions of some of their stuff. So that
I've got to say this.
the port barrel in the Belgians I usually really like because the dark like Venus notes kind of work with the dark fruit of some of those big Belgians anyway. So
There you go.
yeah, those
So
are
Steve,
usually pretty nice.
I got to say this beer drinks drier than it smells. I expected to be some sweetness to it. There's no sweetness to this.
There you go.
And the mango really kind of, man, that you get that right at the end. It's like, whoa, there's that little mango punch.
There you go.
I like.
I'm sure it was for Matt's beer. Ed Meyer says sounds delicious. So
Well, probably we're describing Steve's beer, I think. At the time.
no, because he put the comment up prior to you starting to talk about it. That's why I said that.
Oh no, Steve had described it already though.
Oh, that's true. Ed, let us know where you're talking about Matt's beer or you're talking about Steve's. Or you're talking about Boss Hog Barbecue. Please let us know.
And let's talk about Steve's beer. Let's not worry about what.
Yeah, let's. No, that's fine.
Pay no attention to the beer behind the.
Well, it was just the comment came up right while Matt was talking. That's the only reason I said that. So short of that, but this is very pretty. This is a pretty beer.
Yeah, look at that.
He is talking about Boss Hog. He is talking about
Nice.
juice.
Yeah, that is very.
That's a glass of juice right there. I'm gonna have
That's
this with
juice right
breakfast.
Well, I would like to make.
I wouldn't mind. I actually wouldn't mind getting some barbecue from Boss Hog Barbecue and having this beer with it. So,
Yeah, you wouldn't mind having barbecue from them, no matter what.
I wouldn't mind at all. Why don't we order that instead of pizza last week?
He doesn't love you that much.
No.
Actually, he bought.
I bought.
Oh, you don't love.
That's why we have pizza.
Yeah, we should probably get a brewery open and make some money, and then we can afford barbecue.
Then we can buy barbecue. Yeah.
But no, Steve, some of the stuff you were saying was really interesting to me because I too want to have core brands that are available 12 months of the year, and we will throw them out there and see if they stick around for the whole year.
Right.
You always think you have a plan, and then you have to figure out and test it.
Yeah,
there are some things that there are some things.
The spaghetti model, right there.
Yeah,
right?
there are some things we thought of, like a year and a half ago, what we were talking about, and there's been a couple of changes, subtle changes to that already, and we haven't even opened the tap room yet. So,
and one of the other things that I do really want to do, you were talking about, kind of the educating side, and I do want to have a core beer that is a Belgian single, a Patters beer, or whatever you want to, call it. And, and I want to say, listen, if you like an easy drinking beer, if you like a blonde ale or you like, even a Pilsner, try this.
Yep.
And tell me what you think. And, get some feedback and say,
Mhm.
this is a table beer. This is what the monks had with every meal.
Yep.
And this is a lighter crushable beer, but it's yeast driven as opposed to malt or hops or this. Or that.
Right.
And don't
So
kid
it's
yourselves, the monks would crush it.
Yeah, really. Steve, let me ask you. This is an IPA with pineapple and mango. There's no heat in this per se.
Right.
No.
Right. But the hop profile you're using actually, it doesn't give me heat, but it actually I can see it complementing heat.
Oh, yeah.
It's really well done. It's really delicious.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, and as much as I love habanero, I could see this going with jalapeno. But habanero is my favorite. That's my favorite. Chili.
But Serrano definitely not.
What's the new hottest pepper in the world?
Oh yeah, it's a new one. What is that?
It's called Pepper X. The same people that made the Carolina Reaper.
It's 3 times hotter than the Carolina Reaper?
It's 2.3 million IBUs.
It's stupid.
It is. Scoville units. Sorry, yeah, IBUs are bitterness. Yes. Scoville's 2.3 million
IBUs. I would feel my tongue for a year.
You would be able to taste anything for the rest of your life. 2.3
or you just straight up have cardiac arrest.
Probably.
That's one of those like we've gone too far.
Just dial it back a little bit. Just bring it back a little. Anyway,
I like this.
No, it's really good. Okay, let's pause on everything we're talking about the beers, and let's do our top 3. I think
I'm prepared.
You didn't come prepared. You're the only one.
No, I'm prepared.
You're prepared. I figured you would be.
I was doing some research during the show. It's like,
is that right?
I forgot.
That's why I heard all this little clickety clacking.
Yeah. Is that what the keyboard typing was?
That was the keyboard typing. I was trying to figure out. Oh my god! Well, you know, my son's up from Florida.
Yeah.
So I've been spending time with him. John calls me earlier, tells me what the top 3 is. Like, okay, and then I go and my son finish our. We go out and do some geocaching, some other things we wanted to do, and then the show starts. I'm like, I forgot to research the top 3. Damn it.
So it's an interesting topic because on one hand, it should be friggin' easy because there's a million beers to choose from. But
that makes it even harder.
It's terribly hard because there's a million beers to choose from. So
yeah, exactly. It took me a while, but I narrowed. I got one honorable mention, and I got my top 3.
Same here. One honorable mention, top 3.
I went with 3 straight up. I didn't. I could have made a list of my 100.
I'm sure you could. So could have I. But
you got to remember, my list would probably change immensely if and when I get when I get to Colorado.
Yeah.
Right. Here's the thing. I've been to Colorado. Matt's been to Colorado. David's not been to
Steve
Colorado.
lived in Colorado.
Steve lived in Colorado.
Started brewing in Colorado.
Steve. Okay. So let's start with Steve. Steve, our top 3 tonight is top 3 favorite beers.
Hold on 1 second. I'm coming right back.
You got it. Top 3
go get his
favorite
notes,
beers.
sir.
He's going to Colorado.
I think he's getting his top 3 beers. He's going to drink them all in a row right now. Right? Just pop them right now. Top 3 favorite.
Oh, I should have brought a beer up from my cellar, but
there you
go.
Top 3 favorite beers from Colorado. Now, we've done breweries from Colorado before. We've never done beers from Colorado. So, and we figured beers from Denver would be too specific, and so beers from Colorado beers.
That is really, I will tell you, it is extremely hard because there are a lot of beers from Colorado, and
a lot of good beers.
Once you actually get your brewery up and running, you'll see that you don't get to try a lot of other things very often.
No, exactly.
Or at least not often enough.
Yeah.
So I'm going old school. I went down to my cellar of the things that I'm keeping. But so the first one I have here is Avery's Old Jubilation.
Oh yeah,
it's a beautiful beer.
Sigon Holiday beers. The second one I have is a barley wine that was one of my favorite barley wines. But there actually were a bunch of barley wines from Colorado. But anyway, since I had this one, I'm gonna pick this one. This is Horn Dog.
Prior to the move, pre-move.
says Denver right on the side.
Wow. That's a collector's item you've got there.
It is. I collected it. But the third one I don't have. But I have to say it's a toss-up though. But Great Divide makes their holiday beer is called Hibernation Ale.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And I love that beer, and I have not had it in a long time. I have not. I actually used.
Might
to
have one in my basement.
What's that?
I might have one in my basement.
Oh,
I will take a look. No guarantees, but
yeah, look, that's Avery. Okay,
I know.
One.
I know. I'm showing you this one because I haven't found hibernation in forever.
Okay, I don't know.
Oh, by the way, my son corrected me
Right.
on Pepper X that it's actually 2.693 million Scoville heat.
As
not
opposed to
2.3.
2.3.
Yeah, so that's
2.69.
2.693.
only 400,000
400,000
more Scoville units hot.
Because
Whatever.
he's in the next room listening to the
What's
bullshit
yours?
that comes out of my mouth. He can't hear you guys, but he can hear the garbage coming out of my mouth.
Nice. I did have a Bierstadt Lagerhouse lager, and it was awesome as well. And I have not been there yet, but that is one that I think would be my runner-up.
I think when I land, that is going to be my beeline.
Yeah.
It's going to be Bierstadt.
I've failed going to Bierstadt twice. Somehow I've I've physically gone to the building,
And they're
both
closed?
times they were closed. One
They
was
saw you
like
coming?
they had a power outage, and the other one was for like an employee party.
You
So
could
I
have got
really have failed twice.
Didn't Dustin tell you can get in, but you could have gotten in for the employee party or whatever.
No, we respected them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta.
Trust me, Dustin could have gotten me in if he.
No, I know.
We-
Ironically, you said that. I went to.
Guys,
There's a brewery in. Quick aside. There's a brewery in
I
Brewery
figured
Town.
I'd be back.
There's a brewery in Brewery Town. Is it? Oh, Crime and Punishment in Brewery Town in Pennsylvania. Right. So Jess and I go there. We're hopping around breweries or whatever.
Love that brewery.
We walk in. The door's open, right? So like chopped open, right? So we walk in, and we sit down. We walk in, sit down at the bar, and there's a bunch of people in there. There was no sign out front or anything, private party or anything. It was an employee's wedding. It was closed to the public for an employee wedding. We ordered beer. He brings it over, and I'm like, "Do you need a card for a tab?" He goes, "Aren't you part of the wedding?" I'm like, No. We just walked in. We're just having the beer." He says, "Seriously, you're not here for the wedding?" I'm like, "We're not." He goes, "You're good. Stay." We actually hung out with her for like 45 minutes at the wedding. It was pretty funny.
Well, no,
but that's breweries, right? That's breweries. You stay. You're here. You stay. You're good.
So when my buddy Dustin moved to Denver in 2015, I went out and we went down and we hit a ton of breweries. So he actually lived in Fort Collins.
Mm-hmm.
But we went down. So we went to go to Left Hand, and we showed up at like 2:20, and they're like, they had a sign on the door that says we're closing at 2 for an employee's like birthday or something. And we're like, God damn it. So, we went back up, but then I had to go down to Denver anyway to fly out. So I was like, well, why don't we just go to Left Hand on the way to the airport tomorrow? And he goes, sure. So we showed up the next day, and they have a beer called Good Juju, which is
ginger, yeah.
So it was the Good Juju release day, and not only that, they had like 3 other variants. They had Great Juju, which was an imperial one. They had like a black ginger beer, which was phenomenal, and something else. And I was like, well, we screwed up, but we kind of got this right. So, but anyway, so is it my turn? Should I do my beer?
It is your turn.
It is your turn. You're up.
And the reason that I have, if I do have it, which I can't guarantee, if I do have the hibernation, it's only because I actually bought it at Great Divide.
If you have the hibernation, I'm telling you right now, you cannot drink it without me and Steve.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't go drink it by myself. That'd be so.
That'd be dangerous.
I'd be like, we're gonna have a hibernation party.
There you go.
But
And
all
then
right,
we'll
We have
hibernate
a
when
1
we're done.
12-ounce bottle. I mean, we're each getting 4 ounces, guys.
So as I mentioned, there's ridiculous amounts of good beer. I mean, I had amazing beer at Avery. I had amazing hand pull casks at Hog's Breath in Denver. There's so much good beer there. It's hard to go wrong. But if I really had to narrow it down, I do have 3 beers. So one of them is in a fairly new brewery in Denver. It's called Cohesion. They are a Czech lager only brewery. So the last trip I did to Denver, my buddy Dustin picked me up, and he literally turned to me in the car and he said, "Do you want to go to the house and drop your luggage off, or do you want to go right to a brewery?" Now this is one of those.
Why would he even ask that question?
No,
Yeah.
this is one of those questions in life where there's only one correct answer. So
Yeah.
next thing I know, I said, "What brewery?" was the answer. I answered his question with a question. But so he goes, "Well, there's this brand new brewery it's a Czech lager only brewery," and I'm like, "Done." So we go there, and one of my favorite styles is Tmave Pivo, and they had one of those. I knew that I was going to love that, but my favorite beer was not the Tmave Pivo. Surprisingly, they had a 10 Plato lager that was 3.9% ABV, and it was one of the most beautifully bready lagers I've ever had in my entire life. And I was sitting there drinking half liters of it, like, I can drink this beer for the next 2 weeks. Probably not even get drunk, but just enjoy the shit out of it. And like, to me, that was such that was just a beautiful beer. When I'm like, it's like a nothing of a beer, but it is so flavorful, and it was so awesome.
Oh yeah.
We were sitting there drinking for a couple hours, waiting for his wife to be done with work, and I was like, this is the perfect beer for this. It's absolutely perfect in this moment. I got to go with a Belgian beer for my number 2. And
Shocking.
And I can't think of a place that makes better Belgians out there than Funkworks. If you haven't been to Funkworks, it's up in Fort Collins, so it's about an hour north of Denver. But I mean, I could have probably picked just about anything from them because I got a flight of 22 beers from them, and it was just this gigantic platter.
That's called an aircraft carrier. That's
No, they were
flight.
like 7 or 8
a flight. Yeah.
too. Like that was it. I drank at Funkworks and I had to go home and take it out. But probably my favorite one was the bourbon barrel aged quad. I mean, their quad was very good to begin with, and they didn't destroy it with the bourbon barrel. It was like very nicely balanced, and you still got like the dark fruit and a little bit of the ester profile from maybe some dark sugar, and then it led into a nice smooth barrel note with a little bit of wood spice that kind of worked with the the Belgian yeast profile. And then my number 1 is I got to go with a big stout. I got to go with a big barrel aged stout.
Nothing wrong with that.
And it's really hard to beat Weldworks. So they have a whole series called Medianoche, and it's one of these really super thick, like motor oil stouts. And a bunch of them have adjuncts and this and that in it. The peanut butter cup was particularly amazing because I hate peanut butter in beer, and this beer was the best peanut butter beer I had. But that's not my favorite one. My favorite one is they did a birthday version of it. So they did the Old Forester birthday bourbon.
Oh,
Single
nice.
barrel treatment. And much like the bourbon counties, where I think, when they do the crazy shit, the beer is awful. And when they do these nice, like single barrel or single, brand treatments, the beer is amazing. It was just such a really good and distinctive bourbon flavor. I mean, it had a nice like barrel char underneath, a little bit of sweetness, some nice wood spice, lots of vanillin, almost what you probably call baking spice, from it. It was very complex, it was very delicious. And I do have an old rip version of the Medianoche, but I haven't cracked it yet. So that we'll see if
We'll do that after the hibernation.
Yeah,
We'll do it after the hibernation.
that'll be for the whale share. But so again, just let the barrel breathe and let it infuse its own flavors in it. And that's some of my favorite thing, and that was a very good beer. So, but there's so many other beers you can pick, like Colorado.
It's endless. It's endless.
Yeah.
All right, Dave.
My honorable mention goes back to just one of the classics. It's and Steve mentioned the brewery earlier in Great Divide, but I love the Yeti series. The Yeti by itself, the straight up Yeti is one of my favorite stouts. This is one of those dry, bitter, really punch you in the face. It's really they really let the roast shine in Yeti, and then just all the iterations of it. I think the espresso Yeti might be my favorite of the adjunct Yetis, but straight up Yeti is just such a beautiful beer. So I'll give that the honorable mention.
I'm a chocolate oak aged Yeti man myself.
That's nothing. Gotta
Chocolate
love it.
oak aged Yeti is fantastic.
That I'm pretty sure I definitely do have a bottle left.
Yeah.
Yes,
I may have a couple of bottles of that myself.
It's funny that Steve was talking about, how he's got all the plays on lips with all of his. Well, there's another beer that's got a series of lips. That's the Lips of Faith series of the New Belgian. And I think really one of my favorite of is that Coco Mole that they did. And I don't know how many times they did. I know they did at least twice. It's got cocoa. There's I think there's curry in it. It's got this. It's one of those beers that's got this mishmash of stuff they put in it that sounds like this is either going to be awful or it's going to be amazing. And it's New Belgium, so it was amazing. So Coco Mole is one of them. Barrel Treasure by Odell. Odell is one of those breweries that I don't think gets enough talk out of Colorado. They do so many great things. They do everything, almost everything they do exceptionally well. And this was one of those barrel-aged ones that was just absolutely fantastic. Managed to have it at a bottle share. But I was very privileged to have gotten a taste of that. That was more than I'm pretty certain while no one was looking. I probably poured myself a second taster during the bottle share. That one was really good. I gotta say though, probably my favorite one, and it's an Avery, Samael's Oak Aged Ale. I had this in 2022 at Bar Great Henry. It was a 2009 Samael's Oak Aged Ale. This is a 13-year-old.
It was a crisp fall night. It was like your introduction was getting very seductive there for a second.
The fire was cracking.
Yeah.
The bear rug was lying there and being soft and supple. No, but this was it's just such an amazing beer, really, and to have lasted 13 years and not lost anything. That's got to be my favorite beer brewed in Colorado that I've ever had.
There you go.
Next to Coors Light.
Well, of course.
Of
That
course.
goes without saying.
Steve, what year that Raison?
Raison the extra. It was extra or extra. It was just
It was extra. It wasn't even extra. It was extra.
extra. Yeah. It was 2002 last week. Yeah, it was 2002.
Yeah, on canning day we had a 2002 Dogfish. Not a Raison de Extra, not the very high ABV.
Wow, how did that hold up?
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
That would be probably one of the best aged beers that's held up, in my opinion, that I've had. And I've had a lot of old ass beer.
And Steve wrote on
You
2002.
brought that home?
No. I'm not holding a bottle.
Oh,
It's my
I
phone.
literally thought you
It's
were.
my phone.
I didn't pay attention. I thought you put the bottle up. I'm like,
I
man,
did too.
John's like a fanboy. He's like, I'll have that.
I'm taking that bottle. Like,
He takes pictures of
that was
everything.
my
now.
phone. That was to the check-in. It was my phone for the check-in.
And it was a raisin bomb in the
That
night.
was so good. It was
The
ridiculous.
raisin came out of that so lovely. It was
Nice.
awesome. Thanks for that, Steve. That was delicious.
Hey,
My
cheers for
pleasure.
that.
I got
Definitely.
lots more treats like that.
Lovely. All right, mine. I'll do my honorable mention first. My honorable mention is Steve's number one. And it's one of my favorite beers from Colorado. Because of other lists that I've done and it being included on other lists that I've done, it only makes an honorable mention, and that's Hibernation, obviously. The old ale. I have discovered that the closest place to here right now that carries Hibernation, that has it in stock, is in anywhere in Massachusetts.
Road trip.
So I'm actually considering taking a Saturday and driving up, stopping at Treehouse, of course, and then driving up to Massachusetts and just
I have family in Massachusetts.
hitting a few other places and picking up some Hibernation. So
We can just
unless your sister can pick up a couple of cases and bring it back down.
Brother-in-law may be able to grab something.
or we can do that road trip to Rhode Island we've been talking about and just hit it on the way.
There you go. And then obviously I'm going to throw in. Steve said Old Jubilation as well. Old Jubilation. might make an appearance on next week's list. Just saying.
Next
right.
week being the holiday beer
On the
show.
beer show, yeah. All right. Just saying. I mean, it's made the last 3 holiday beer show
Yeah,
lists
exactly.
for me, but anyways. But my top 3 are this. My number 3, number 3 is the Nuttiest Professor. All right, it's a 15.2% bourbon barrel aged imperial stout with peanuts from Avery.
Okay.
All right, it's so good, and this was the beer. I don't know if both of you, if Dave, if you were still on, Matt, I don't think you were on it. The beginning of COVID, we did a couple of virtual bottle shares.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and
A couple?
well, more than a couple, but the first one we did, we started at 7:00 at night in the evening, and we finished at 2 a.m. So we're drinking for 7 hours.
Oh, I definitely wasn't on that one.
Well,
All right.
but what happened is it was a much
I
larger.
remember the beginning of it at least.
Yeah, right.
There was a much larger bottle share. We all logged off, and then one of our friends hit 3 more of us up, brought us back in to continue drinking.
Continue it, yeah.
It was just the 4 of us.
And now,
Went to
mind you,
2.
I'm shot. I don't even know what I'm drinking. I've had this several times before. I had 1 bottle left of 12-ounce bottle. I had 1 12-ounce bottle left of the Nuttiest Professor in the fridge. And I said to Jess at 2 a.m, I said, 1 more beer and we're good. Just grab anything. I was halfway through it before I realized that was the beer she grabbed.
No!
At 2 a.m,
Finish him.
That is the only response to that.
I will say, you got to have a shout out for Avery Tweak.
Oh, Tweak is fantastic. That coffee is ridiculous in it. Yeah.
That almost made my top 3. But
Absolutely.
the 3.9% lager beat it out by a hair.
Yeah. And speaking of coffee, my number 2 is Big Bad Baptista from Epic.
That whole series.
Yeah.
There's been a few misses in the series, but they're rare.
The Big Bad Baptista is 11%.
I didn't care for the berry one.
Mm-mm.
That's one of the misses. Yes,
I didn't
misses.
like that either. Yeah.
If you had Baptist in the rye, though, that's phenomenal.
Baptist in a rye is fantastic.
Never had that
That's
one.
fantastic.
Because I feel like the rye barrel works with the profile even
Oh,
better than the slight, mildly sweeter bourbon. Like the rye really and the spiciness works. Oh, it's so good.
Well, this particular one was 11%. Obviously, they all are imperial stout with cinnamon, vanilla, Mexican coffee, and cacao nibs. And it was fantastic. And shout out to Adrian Roberts, because at the time there was a 2017 in this one particular bottle that the last bottle I had was last year at a bottle share. So 5 years prior, Adrian was still working at Bottle King, and they got 1 case in, and he texted me. He's like, dude, I got Big Bad Baptista, and said, put a bottle aside. I'll be there later. Those going to be gone by then. I said, that's why I'm saying put a bottle aside.
Matt, another one that didn't quite work in that series, and you'd probably agree with me, was the peanut butter cup.
Yeah.
That one didn't. You don't like peanut
butter.
butter.
Because I just really don't like peanut butter and beer to begin with.
But the peanut butter cup just didn't really work.
Dry, powdery disgustingness that I can't deal with. I have a peanut butter sandwich for breakfast every day, by the way. Like that's
every
my
day.
breakfast.
He does. I can
absolutely love actual peanut butter. It's just peanut butter and beer. I'm just like I don't know what it is.
We were in the Airbnb for almost a week in Nashville. I'm making bacon, sausage, waffles, pancakes, everything. He's putting peanut butter on bread and peanut butter.
I'll tell you one thing. If I don't have a full breakfast in front of me, it's peanut butter on something.
Yeah.
So and my favorite thing to do is toasted English muffin, honey, peanut butter, and cinnamon on top of it. Oh, it's so good. So good.
Interesting.
Yeah, I do a lot of peanut butter and honey sandwiches, actually.
Yeah, peanut butter and honey just so well together. Add a little cinnament to it.
You have to try that.
Next
Have
level.
a banana on it, and you'll think you're Elvis.
There you go. This is true. And
or I thought it was Velvis.
Velvis. It's Velvis.
All right, I don't know if I have this picture on my phone.
Hold on, I got to get my number 1. Hold on.
Wait, no, I literally have it. I don't know if you can see this, but that's me Halloween one year.
Of course.
And I think
wait, I know I had a goatee still, but that belt buckle is so money.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
fire right there.
That
as
was
they say.
serious right there.
There you go.
And the two-tone shoes were pretty key too.
And this
Those
and
of
this-
you listening on the audio podcast, you're going to want to tune in around 1 hour 34 minutes, 1 hour 35 minutes to
Yeah.
check out Matt's belt buckle.
and this year, Matt was a shark.
Matt was a shark this year.
You're really surprised by this.
Not surprised.
So, last year was Guy Fieri. So,
Yeah,
I can see that.
there you
You're not round enough, but
go.
okay.
Right.
Yeah,
So, my number one.
I'm working on it. Don't worry.
He's getting there. My number one is also from Avery. So 2 from Avery on the top 3. Uncle Jacob's Stout.
Never had it.
16.9% bourbon barrel aged.
That
imperial
might be
stout.
why I've never had it.
So
16.9%
I always have the tweak, which is Uncle Jacob's with the coffee.
with
in
the
it.
coffee. Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Uncle Jacob's is good, but I like the tweak.
You like it with the coffee better. Yeah, I like it. I love it with the coffee. I love it better without it. It's just such a perfect imperial stout. It's crazy. Anyway, those are my 3. So,
Perfect.
all right, Steve. Events. All right. First of all, this week you're obviously releasing. Let's get back to the collab for a second.
There's an event apparently coming up.
The World Is Your Cloister. It's the collab with Ashton and Coastal.
And I do believe that John will be there for the release.
I will be there on Thursday for the release.
Okay. And then Matt's going to be there on
That's going to be there on Friday
Friday.
for.
We're going to do a meet the brewer.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you want to meet the sales manager, sales director, come on Thursday. If you want to meet the brewer, come on Friday. There you go.
Sales director, you gave yourself a promotion.
That kind of works
Sales
out the right
manager.
way, I think.
General sales manager, I think. Where's my card? I got
Thought it was VP of International Sales.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah.
next week. He's gonna give himself another promotion.
that's no. January. It starts next year.
Didn't my card say Flavor Logical Genius? I don't know. I forget what we put on there.
Something flavor logical genius and brewer of Belgian beers.
Yes, Belgian beers. All the
I just thought it said God of Beer.
No, that's not me.
No, that's somebody else.
Oh right, yeah,
That's a little too strong.
yeah. We won't. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't even say it once. Much
I like
less
to
three.
keep things. So I'm not. You got to have way more of an ego than me to say that.
We know
I
those
have a big
people.
ego, but it's not that big.
There you go. What else is on the horizon event wise after this Thursday's release and Friday's Meet the Brewer for this beer? What do you have coming up event wise for the holidays and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, for because we get closer to Christmas, we always have a lineup of holiday beers. We have a peppermint porter, a nutmeg beer. Let's see. We probably will do the cranberry beer again for Christmas again.
Are these all going to be draft lines, or are you doing Firkins of these?
These will just be draft lines in the tap room.
And
And then
peppermint's another flavor that, like, in theory, I actually love it, and in beer, it's so poorly done most of the time.
Yeah,
And I do remember having your peppermint porter and saying, "I don't hate this beer. This is pretty solid peppermint."
You weren't mad at it.
it works really
I'm not
well.
mad at it. Yeah, and I get mad at peppermint very easily,
Yeah.
almost
I'm
as
the
easily as
same
driving
way.
to New Jersey. But
Almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things about our brewery overall is I'm going for subtlety. I'm not going for whacking you over the head with things.
Yeah.
And
So basically, you're never going to do a beer called creme brulee.
there's a time and a place to whack people over the head with things. I mean, there is. From a brewing perspective, there's a time and a place to whack people over the head with things. But like an ingredient like peppermint is not that time.
No, you don't do that.
yeah. So I tend to be. I have a light hand with things. And that peppermint beer works pretty well.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not something that normally I would go to.
Sure.
But I tend to drink it.
Oh yeah.
And then our Champorado is our Christmas or sort of winter stout. It's a Mexican chocolate stout.
Nice.
Very reminiscent of the hot chocolate my mother used to make when I was a kid.
Love it. Love
So,
it.
yeah.
What's on the horizon for next year for 2024?
Hopefully making a lot more beer and selling a lot more beer.
There you go.
But Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't think we have anything, other than that kind of planned at this point.
Gotcha.
Um,
Fair enough. Beer Fest, of course.
keeping up with everything. That's the big thing.
There
Yes,
you
beer fest.
Yeah.
We love the beer fest.
You doing Liberty Science Center again?
Yeah, the what do they call it? Bruisology.
Bruisology, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be doing that again.
Do you
That was
plan
a
on?
fun one, though. I like that one.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Well, it was fun for everybody but Steve. If you remember, everybody got their own pour from
Oh, I
Bruisology,
didn't get one. That's
except
right.
for Steve.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
But
right.
it was fun because I had a lot of people come over and pour for me.
Right.
Al Gattulo came in. He was pouring for, like,
Al poured for a while wearing a Coastal
Yeah.
shirt, so that
Yeah,
was
it's
that
great.
worked out.
That's right. And I got to go to the
We're
bathroom.
still cross promoting, even
See that? It doesn't
we were
matter.
we were a little few months ahead, but it happens.
So yeah, I mean, no matter where you are, it's going to be fun.
There you
That's
go.
the whole point.
What's just let everybody know too, what anybody listening on the audio podcast or rewatching this or watching this now, what's your distribution footprint as far as in Jersey and so forth and so on?
So definitely within Jersey.
Mhm.
We don't go outside Jersey.
Mhm.
We've always stayed what I call hyper local, within 30 miles.
Okay.
We over the summer started branching out a little bit more into Monmouth County, and we got a little bit into Ocean County. But
I heard Monmouth's a good place to be. So.
Monmouth's a good place for beer.
So
yeah,
but-
Monmouth has, they have a lot of breweries, but none as good as us, and
They do a lot of
guys aren't even
drinking
there
there.
yet, so it doesn't matter.
But now
Maybe
the,
like
now
plenty
the
of-
important question: come March, do you plan on kicking their butts again at the Paragon Madness?
Yes, that would absolutely be my plan. We'll see what happens. But,
Give me Coastal again. I ate their lunch last time.
Hey.
I don't know. We might have.
We
We
made
might
it
have
to
to,
the we made it to the final four. The two
John,
of
we
us.
might have to rent a van and show up this year.
Bring the crew.
Even me, chug for chug. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
You guys have more owners than I have staff, so it's not even possible.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Between me and Zoe, yeah, we'll be packing us in.
Well, but we really enjoyed doing the collab with you, Steve. It was a
absolutely.
great experience. I loved doing kicking the recipe back and forth, and you guys
Absolutely.
were very gracious hosts. We enjoyed it, and I really love the beer that came out of it. And
100%. It was
I'm
fantastic.
excited.
I do too.
And that would be
Fingers crossed that we get our
this beer
doors
right
open
here.
next year, and we want to have you down, and we'll do something else at our place.
We'll definitely do it by us. Yeah.
Try to
That
get
was
And whatever.
fantastic.
And of course, I'm down to do another one at your place
Yeah.
after that, or
Whenever we'll just go back and forth. Just keep a theme going or whatever.
You're playing beer tennis.
I think
Exactly.
when we started this whole thing, the whole reason I'm doing this is because it's fun, and that's
That's
doing
what
these
it's about,
types of
right?
Things is a lot of fun.
Look, I said this. I say this very often. I say this to a lot of people. This industry is unlike any other.
Mhm.
It's not about competition. It's about co-opetition, and we're all for each other. Yeah, of course we want to make money, and we will if we're doing the right thing, right? But we all want everybody to succeed. We don't just want us to succeed and everybody else to fail. We want everybody to succeed. That's what this is about, and everybody has that mindset. It's an outlier here or there, but for all intents and purposes, we all have the same mindset. But yeah, this was fantastic.
It's fun because even this, right? I can't get it on this.
Mhm. Yep.
Right. So so Donna, my wife Donna, does all our label work, and so I sent some stuff to Matt, and Matt had the idea to do the stained glass thing. So it was just and then the name was Matt. So there's just every aspect of this. There's input from everybody.
Sure.
And it makes it fun, but it also makes it come out really great. And I think this is one of my favorite labels that
It's a
I
beautiful
really,
label.
I do. I love the labels. Like I had the stained glass idea, but I had this thing in my mind, and when I saw that, I was like, that is so much. That's 1,000 times better. What I imagined in my
It's
mind.
fantastic.
You know.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, because I don't know how sharks would have worked into the thing fast.
Can there be a shark in there? No, he didn't ask for that.
And if you look, I mean, the colors of the Belgian flag are in the stained glass of the
Yeah.
the
Oh wow, that's a good
goblet.
point. I like that.
That's
Okay.
your Easter
That
egg
orange
right there.
yellow
That's
one?
pretty hot. I actually missed that myself.
Oh, you should be ashamed.
That's next level. I like that.
Yeah.
So I would like to say on a personal level that the very first time I actually did beer judging was at a table with Steve. And it was an absolute pleasure to watch him in action because I'd heard a lot about him. It was the first time I ever met him. And we had the Belgian table, which was particularly nice because I didn't feel like I was completely drowning. But no, and that was my first experience with Steve. And I've always had a lot of respect for him. I knew he knew what a beer is supposed to be.
Right.
And through both going to Ashton and trying his beer and then going through the kicking recipes back and forth process, it's great to work with people that have a passion for beer and want to make a good beer, and it just worked. I'm very happy with the way that the beer came out. So
It came out so well. It was
cheers
great.
to you.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Matt.
Oh, mine's gone.
There you go. It was fantastic. All right. And on another note, too, for that, the Paragon, the March Madness in March, save a
March Madness is in March. Wow.
save a sixtel of our collab and bring it there so they'll be confused. Wait a minute. This is.
There you go.
Who wins? Whose is it? No, anyway.
No, John's trying to win by default. I see.
Right,
what's
right,
going
yeah,
on.
exactly.
That's
Just
it.
when
I got
Steve
it.
wins, we
That's
still
nice. I
win.
like that. Good strategy.
It's got a strategy, yeah.
No, I got this. We'll just
Not
collab
just
every
a hat
brewery
rack,
that
my
goes to
friend.
Paragon, and then by default we'll win. So nailed it.
There you go. Anyway, all right. But anyway, yes, Matt, I echo Matt's remarks. Thank you so much for hosting us for obviously the brew. The brew day was fantastic. The canning day was great. We the beers we drank that day, everything about it. It was both days. It was fantastic. We'll do the same by us, absolutely. But thank you so much, gracious host.
And again,
Awesome
just
beer.
for you guys listening
was
at home,
amazing.
I want to reiterate, they literally got their license right before COVID
Right.
shut everything down.
Shut it
Like
down.
the fact that they persevered through that and they're just still pushing out like really good beer
Mhm.
impresses the hell out of me.
It's very impressive.
I can't imagine like how we've been frustrated with a lot of things in our process getting open, but like to get to that point where you're like, yes, we can open, and then have that happen
Right.
has to be just one of the most disheartening, crazy things. And just
Yeah.
forge ahead and
And it was days. It was
Yeah.
you got your license on the March 11th. You start brewing. The 13th, you got beer in tanks. You're like, yeah, this is great. And nope, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Right.
I mean, cheers to you again, Steve. I mean, that's
Yes,
impressive because just
Absolutely.
not many breweries. Well, I'm sure there were some other breweries that dealt with that, but like
Steve's
that was
with me here.
a big thing. And man, you get dealt with. There's so many problems you can get with a brewery. That's one that there's no. That's like Plan Z.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's so many plans that you always change the plan, but like you had to get to like plan. Oh, like the whole world is shutting down. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's figure that out now.
Well, that wasn't in the business plan, that's for sure.
Well, then, yeah, that was. You didn't have that rider in the back of it. You didn't.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
but
I think
I'm
we were
excited
the
to be there
first one
Friday.
What's
Right.
that?
Very excited to be there Friday. Can't wait to have more of this beer because it's delicious.
Yeah.
And again, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep kicking some good beer out.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Eddie Meyer just applauded.
He's applauded.
Is he our one listener?
He's no. There's we've had a bunch between Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and a couple on Twitter too, in and out. A lot more rewatch it and a lot more on the audio, obviously. When it goes
Eddie's the frequent contributor.
That's probably better.
Commenter.
Yeah, much more on the audio afterwards, but in any event, all right. On that note, though, we will wrap the show for today. Steve, don't go anywhere. Don't sign off. We'll talk after we sign off the show. We'll wrap up the show on that note for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. For those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, which is now X, and Twitch every Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on our audio podcast host, Spreaker, as well as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, Audible, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Castbox, Deezer, Podchaser, Listen Notes, pretty much anywhere you can find an audio podcast, you will find the Log Room Guys. Anyway, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Steve, thank you once again for coming on. We really appreciate it. Great show. Really appreciate it. And phenomenal beer. It was very, 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 very tasty. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly. And we will talk to you soon, folks. Take care, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.